Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Not that I care that it's Monday. It's whatever day it is. It's the day that Conscious Coffee is because I take Sundays off. So, hey, I see that Addison is on. Can you let me know if you can hear me okay? Okay, I'm going to take it that you can hear me okay. Oh, I can't wake up. I ended up laying in bed at 3:44, wide awake. Thank you, Addison, for letting me know that. Ended up laying in bed at 3:44, wide awake, and not just then laid there at 5:50, not wanting to get up because I was up at 3:44. So, and I have no idea. I felt like there was some sort of, I don't know, I kept seeing like lights and different things. Every time I closed my eyes, it felt like I was in one of those lava lamps and things were appearing to me in the lava lamp. It was trippy. It was cool, but trippy. And I was kind of in that lucid state of dreaming and in and out of things. So interesting, but just enough awake that this morning I'm like, okay, I'm tired. So, but the topic of this morning is, my chair sits right here. The topic of this morning is bridges and walls. And I was in church yesterday and they had a guest speaker come in because the pastor is gone on a trip. So they had this guest speaker in, and he was actually really, really interesting, cool guy. He kind of pulled together a whole bunch of different things, and even though it's a Christian church, he was pulling in a whole bunch of stuff from ancient Judaism and talking about the Torah and the Zohar and all this different stuff that I have actually done a lot of study on in years past. So that was really interesting, but one of the things that he made a comment about, and I know that it's a quote, I've heard it before, but it just kind of went boom in front of me, was a wise person builds bridges and a scared weak person builds walls. And he was talking about in times of perceived danger, in times when things are all crazy and distorted in our lives. Often what we tend to do in these moments when fear rises up and when doubt rises up is we go and we build walls. We protect ourselves. We do all these different things to really, create what we perceive as a safe space for ourselves, for those that we love, all of that, instead of reaching out and building bridges. So this morning, as I sat here trying to wake up for a couple minutes longer than what I normally do and drink coffee and stuff, let my phone reboot, all that good stuff, I realized that, that's so true. That statement just kept kind of coming in. So I was looking at, and instantly when he said that, I was thinking about a lot of the things that are going on in our world right now, and we literally are trying to build walls instead of bridges, and we're literally trying to wall in so many things in the pursuit to protect. And what we do is we end up kind of walling in with us all the chaos. It's like we're not keeping it out, we're taking it with us, and now we're holding it with us. And when you find yourself stuck in these spaces, think about it, like when you wall yourself in emotionally, when you wall yourself in even physically, and just say, well, I'm just not gonna, this happened, that happened, I'm now not gonna go out there, I'm not gonna go hang out with friends, I'm not gonna go do this, I'm not gonna go do that, I'm not gonna go experience life anymore because I had this event happen, I had this experience happen. Then what happens is that we end up sitting in an even worse hell, you could say, within our own being and within our own space, in this safety space. So really what today's topic is, you know, following your heart, of course, because that's normally where I go with stuff. It's to follow your heart, to listen to your intuition. But in this case, look at the areas that you might be walling yourself off to joy, walling yourself off to happiness, to love, to, you know, positive experience, all in the pursuit to avoid negative experience. And the thing is that we can't avoid the negativity. What we perceive as negative is going to come here and there. There's reasons for it, and it's not all bad is necessarily bad. It's our perception of it. So, you know, when we, part of the walling off that we do, and we do this in our personal life, we do it society, world-wise as well, is that we tend to look at things from a place of scarcity, is what I call it. It is a place of scarcity. But every time I tell somebody, I'm like, well, that's a scarcity thought. I typically get the look of like, huh? What the heck are you talking about? Like, wait, what do you mean scarcity? I don't have scarcity thinking. I make this much, I do that, right? Scarcity thinking is not just about money. It comes to us in so many different ways. So we wall ourselves off when we are in a scarcity thinking. And the scarcity thinking is every time you feel you cast judgment, you start to worry about what you don't have, or you start to worry about what you might miss out on, what you're not going to get. You start to have jealousy rise up inside of you. You know, we look at jealousy as, oh, that this or that person must really love me because they have they feel jealous. Well, that's not true. It's not true at all. Jealousy is more about saying a lot about what's going on in that person's internal world than it is about the person that they are having jealousy over. And jealousy is also a scarcity mindset because it is about not having. And scarcity is all about not having, whatever that might be. Not having, you know, enough love, not having enough money, not having enough time, not having enough, you know, my health isn't good enough, my this isn't good enough, blah, blah, blah. If it's not good enough, then you're in a land of scarcity. You have scarcity thinking going on. And we all do this. We all do. We all go through these phases of having scarcity thinking. But often what ends up happening is we have more scarcity thinking than we do abundance thinking. If we look at society, sorry, my throat is just really dry this morning. I'm just gonna keep like taking a sip of coffee here now. In society, we do this through exclusion. We really focus in on excluding people, but you know, it's like we're constantly, and you can look at this, like talk about building walls, right? What are we doing? It's massive exclusion when we literally put walls up. So like with government putting walls up and everything, you know, we're moving into this phase of so much interaction with other countries and world and different ethnic groups getting together and everything, but then we start to wall things up and go into protection mode, and you know, everybody else is the bad guy. That's not true. That's not true. There's not that many bad guys on this planet. I don't believe it. I think people are people across the board, and anytime we start to exclude people, we put those walls up, and you know, we make it a difference of there's separation happening. So it is all about that you're you, I'm me, we're different, and we're not seeing the common ground. We're not seeing that connection. We're not seeing that we both are very much the same, and you know, take it down a spiritual path that we're both children of God. Instead, if we imagine a world where we were more inclusive, where we really focused more in on how we could help each other, how we could, build those bridges, how we could connect more, how we could build people up more, that how can we push people up? If we actually did that more, what would the world be like? Now, I know that I'm talking the same, good morning, Michael. I know that I'm talking the same story as many people through all of time have shared here, but my focus today really is obviously, I believe that if each one of us focuses in on this kind of stuff individually, and we start to look at where we're building walls, and how we can in turn build bridges, where are we being exclusive instead of inclusive? Where are we having scarcity mentality versus abundance mentality? How are we casting and holding judgment on others that, that we really should be more in compassion and empathy with others instead of judgment and jealousy and worry and all this other stuff. So when we take that on and we look at it in our personal lives, if we change these things within self, then that is going to have a ripple effect and help the world change overall. Because there's no one person that can necessarily go out there and really change the world like in one massive stroke. Can't do that. But what we can do is make all of these small movements, which are actually really big movements, to improve ourselves. And that's the focus. So even though it might come across like I'm trying to save the world here, which in the big scheme of things I probably am, because I am that kind of crusader person, but I also get that it starts with one. And oh my, computer across from me just went crazy. It starts with one, and the impact that each one of us can have is a significant one. So really look at where your walls are at, and are you, when things start to go bad, which they do for all of us, we get into these times, and I prefer to call them times of chaos, because it really is more a time of chaos than a bad time. A bad time is nothing more than a whole bunch of negative thoughts that are, turning into negative emotions that are then perceived as a negative experiences and attitudes and energies and things happening to us or around us. But it all starts with this chaotic thought process in our head of, negativity. Are we conscious of that negativity that's going off in our head, that now we are attracting this negativity into our life? Most of the time, no. I mean, we have to constantly stay on the workload, basically, of staying in tune with what we're thinking. So really start to analyze that, because anytime you start to feel chaos, what do you want to do? You want to build a wall, right? I mean, that's a normal safety measure that we tend to do. So start looking into those spaces as to how can you actually build a bridge? Where can you lean out and be vulnerable? Ask for help, share, pull in. And this does not mean that you have to get on, your soapbox and go out there and start telling everybody this and that and how this happened to you and that happened. That's not what I mean by asking for help or getting vulnerable. It means pull in that support system. Realize that you need to go do something with a friend. Maybe you just need some self-care to stay home and just breathe and clean your house. Who knows what your personal needs are? We all have different ways of working through things, but the big picture is what is your state of being while you're doing this? Are you putting up walls to protect yourself and hiding, or are you getting in alignment to yourself and opening doors and building those bridges, those lines of connection with other people? And here's a true thing about all of this is that, as we're working through all of this stuff within ourselves, and it has that ripple effect out into the world, we're number one, if anybody has any children, I mean, think of what you're teaching your children, right? What's the example? Kids don't listen to what we say. They listen to what we do. That's what it's all about. So how are you setting the example for your children? How are you setting the example for children that are in your life? Maybe it's not your children, but maybe you have children in your life. You know, maybe you're a school teacher. Maybe you have a large family and you're around your siblings' kids, your cousins' kids, or whatever. I mean, all this stuff. Maybe you have a daycare. I don't know. Whatever your scenario is, if you look at the youth around you, what kind of example are you setting to them? What kind of example are you setting to the other people in your life? How are you showing them an opportunity to react differently, to experience differently, to connect, to, you know, are you showing people that there are other options out there instead of just building walls? Because even though I say children only pay attention to what we do and not what we say, well, us adults are the exact same way. We hear the words and we're like, ooh, we get turned on to them, and that makes us start to inquire, follow, explore what somebody's doing. But if we find out that that person is, you know, saying this and all the time doing this, now occasionally, yeah, we all fall off of our horse, right? And we're humans. We have mess ups. But if you have somebody that is all the time saying one thing and doing another and not working on themselves, then how are you going to follow that? You're not going to be able to follow that. You're going to go, no, that person's, you know, a hypocrite. They're not doing what they're not walking their talk. Computers over there are going crazy. So it really is about, you know, like, can you step up to the plate for yourself first, and then step up to the plate for the people in your life? And I love the term, you know, I always think about this. There's a book called Awakened Humanity, and it's a Virginia Essene book, and there's a statement in that book where she talks about us being the custodians of the earth. And the custodians of the earth, to me, that's just, for whatever reason, that statement impacts me really, really strong, because it puts me in this mindset that God has put every single one of us here to watch over the earth. And if you go back into biblical, you know, verses and stuff, and I don't know the exact verse, but I think it's in Genesis, where God basically says exactly that. Now, the word custodian isn't used, but it is watching over the land. It is being, you know, that we are supposed to watch over the land. That doesn't mean control the animals and control the ocean and do this and do that. No, it means to put this positive abundance energy out there. We were granted at that time through, you know, well, originally through Adam, and then that kind of got messed up, didn't it? And then came back through Abraham, and all these blessings were supposed to come down, abundance through the line, right? But that abundance came from the embracing of being the watchers of the land, the custodians of the land. So if you put yourself into that mindset, what does it mean to be a custodian of earth? It means to take care of the earth itself, to do your part. But here's the thing, even more so than taking the action to put something in the recycle can versus, you know, to just be wasteful or to toss it on the ground. To be the custodian of the earth is to really pay attention to what your thoughts are and to teach those around you, to share, which also means to show, set an example of what having a higher level consciousness, and all it means to have a higher level consciousness or to be enlightened is to be conscious and present about what you're thinking and how that is impacting your feelings and how that is impacting your actions. So again, consciousness, always, like, I swear I'm going to just change my whole line to consciousness coach. But we bring it back to that state of consciousness. And then you look at, again, what? We're right back to, are we building walls or do we build bridges? What does your consciousness do in these moments? That's what custodians about the earth, being a custodian of the earth, is really, really all about. Is learning how to build those bridges, not build those walls, not try to, because when we build those walls, in essence, it is a control play. It is all about trying to control stuff. And we're trying to control what affects us, how it affects us, but we're doing it in a very scarcity mindset and a fear-driven mindset, which is ego and scarcity as well. And because we go into war mode. That's what walls are. It is a war mentality versus a love mentality. So what are you? Are you warring or are you loving? You can love and still see the potential of all this stuff that might happen that could be bad, but still remain open enough and have game plans of, like, okay, well, if this happens or that happens, then, these are the plays I need to make. But you have to be able to basically stick your head out of your shell and take a breath and try to be a little bit vulnerable to move forward and build that bridge instead of completely keeping yourself walled off and not experiencing life. Because when we keep ourselves walled off, we don't experience life. We don't get to experience the beauty, the love, the joy, whether it is with people or just the world in general, because we live in this amazing world, absolutely amazing world. And people who wall themselves off, they don't see it. You don't see it. The walls block two directions. They're not, just blocking things from coming in. And no, they're blocking you from getting out. They're blocking you from experiencing. They're blocking you from loving. They're blocking you from your joy, from your happiness, from opportunity. They're blocking you. When you build a wall, it is operating from both sides. So you gotta remember that. A bridge is all about connection. A bridge brings things together. A bridge is where true power is really, really at, because you lift everything up and you make it that inclusive, beautiful community tribe. There's all this, and speaking real quickly, I know I'm a woman, I go off, and this is conscious coffee, I don't have to be completely on top, but tribe mentality, a tribe has a very inclusive feel to it. But in today's world, so many people are talking about my tribe, my tribe, my tribe. And what are we saying when we say my tribe? My tribe. Find your tribe. Find your tribe. Find your community. Find your tribe. Again, separation, exclusion. We have our tribe. Blood pouring through our veins. Our DNA structure is human. There's the tribe. Human. Human is the tribe. So, are you human? Are you inclusive? Are you exclusive? Are you looking for the differences? Are you worried about your differences? Or are you looking for the bridges, the connection, the love, how you're the same? Or maybe how your unique differences actually empower and bring up others, and thus bring yourself up too. Because that's what it's about. Yes, we're all unique, and we're all not so unique. We really are all just human. And that is an absolutely amazing, beautiful thing. No matter who we are, it's amazing. But back to topic. Bridges and walls. I want you today to, good morning, Michael. I want you today to really, really look at where your bridges are Maybe you don't have any. How can you build them? And more importantly, where your walls are, and if you're willing to take them down, and what the opportunities are if you take those walls down. You know, we did Addison and I did an art experience this last Saturday with a group of women, and it's a very therapeutic experience. Art typically is, I refer to it as body mapping, but it's just this piece, and we pulled in different parts of ourselves, and we were working through these different parts of ourselves. And it was really interesting to watch these women in the room, and they all had their different pieces in there, and they were working on different stuff. But part of the project, because we did puzzle pieces, so part of the project was kind of like we built walls between these different parts of ourselves to start with, because there were puzzle pieces. So we drew out the puzzle pieces, so that felt like there's a safety of that everything's going to be contained in this zone. And of course, as we're working through it, we're trying to reveal to them that everything is woven together and that it is all interactive and all this different stuff. But everybody's theme, and I don't know if everybody caught this or not, was that there was a piece. I know one particular woman, she actually had like doors and locks on different things. And then another woman had, I noticed that there was a bunch of X's on her piece. So that was interesting. In different ways, whether she painted it or drew it or what have you. And even on my own personal one, there's always these different spaces of closure where we're building these walls. And here's the thing, as I was looking at those pieces and even examining my own, we tend to, in those walled off areas, because this is all internal, right? So we were talking about like our hearts, our minds, our spirits, you know, communication, our sex, all these different areas of us as individuals. As we're working through that, well, we wall off these different aspects of self to each other even. We compartmentalize everything. And guess what compartmentalizing is? Walling things off. Walling things off. Oh, it's Monday. I'm going to get up. I'm going to go to work. I'm only going to deal with work during this time frame. And then at 5 o'clock, I'm going to put my work box back safely into the closet, and I am then going to, you know, only deal with driving home and the traffic. And then when I get done with that, then I'm going to put that box away and compartmentalize that over there. And now I'm just going to deal with family, with kids, with this, with that. We move section to section to section. We section off our lives instead of blending everything together. And when we compartmentalize everything, there is no blend to stuff. And then we wonder why this stuff starts seeping in. It's like, how can this, because all of a sudden something will pop up in one of the other boxes. It's like it gets misplaced. It's misplaced. It's not misplaced. Everything is interwoven. And when we compartmentalize, we build these walls, and we try to really keep everything safe by doing that. And if we built bridges and saw the beauty of connection within ourself, then we would be able to actually recognize the beauty of connection outside of self as well. And this is where I really want you guys today to, like, when I say, where are you building bridges, where are you building walls? Start within yourself. You know, like, are you completely compartmentalizing everything? Are you operating just from that headspace where everything is just this, you know, like you got this great filing system going off in your head? Or do you have some sort of organization, but you can see the common grounds? You can see how this impacts this and this impacts that. And there's a flow to everything. And that it is all you. It is all you. And you are human and impact this earth and impact your community, impact your house. You bring it just down, right? So if you bring it down, look at where those bridges, those walls are inside. Start looking at how you can take the walls down within yourself and start to experience you, even though it is fucking scary. Because it is scary. It's scary to experience aspects of ourselves. It's scary to take those walls down. It's scary to come head to head with an emotion that you've been avoiding, with a thought that you've been avoiding and actually call it out and say, is that true? Is that real? Is that thought real? You might find out that those boogie monsters in your closet aren't real. They're just boogie monsters. They're just fictitious illusions over their shadows, and once you turn the light on, the shadow's gone. And chances are that's what you'll find a lot of the time. But you're walling yourself off due to these shadows that aren't even, real things. So really start to look at how you can turn, and that's, turn the light on is a way of looking into abundance instead of scarcity, is a way of building a bridge within yourself to really be able to tap in. If you've got to face the fear of tapping into yourself and revealing the light within yourself so that you can thus turn around and tap in and build a bridge to your neighbor. That neighbor might be your partner, that neighbor might be your child, that neighbor might be somebody at work, that neighbor might be a stranger, that neighbor might be a community action, that, who knows? That neighbor might be somebody that you perceive as an enemy. I don't know. It's going to be different for every single one of us, but we should have multiple bridges going out. That's all I'm saying, is that, that connection, because what do we ultimately want? Do you want, here's across the board, what I have learned over the last, big time over the last 10 years, but over the last 20, 25 years, what I have really seen is that we all crave three things. We crave to be loved and to love. So we crave love. We all want happiness, and we all want connection. Those three things go hand in hand. Yes, they have three different labels on them. They are hand in hand though. And they really do make up a very big piece of our pie. So you've got to, first of all, find love for self. You've got to connect your pieces inside and embrace them. And you've got to find that happiness inside. As long as you're reaching out for love, as long as you're reaching out for connection, as long as you're reaching out for happiness, you're not going to find it. You will not find it. And it is a constant focus to do this inside ourselves, because we have our wounds, we have our fears, we have these walls that we don't even realize that we have until we come up against them. And then we're like, oh shit, there's a wall there. Well, take the wall down. At least start removing some of the bricks. And really focus in on finding that love, that connection, that happiness inside, because that will literally ripple out into other parts of your life, and you're going to start to have more love, more connection, more happiness outside of yourself as well, which is going to help expand your love, happiness, and connection inside. But if you can't find it inside, if you don't do the work to find it inside, you will never have it authentically outside of yourself. You will only have an illusion that will just blow up. Those blow up in front of you for no reason, or maybe a reason, however it happens. But there's no quick fix to this. It's all about doing your internal work. Take those walls down inside. Start building bridges within yourself. Look for ways that you can connect your dots inside your own being, inside your own soul, head space, heart space. See, again, separation, spirit, head, heart. Create a pathway, connect them, stop separating. And then look for ways that you can mimic that outside of yourself, in your own house, in your work, in your community. Okay, so, all right, I hear my munchkins getting up, and before it gets all noisy behind me, I'm going to go ahead and wish you guys a happy Monday morning, and I will catch you maybe later today. I might be doing a mindful Monday later today. Thank you, Addison, for that. And tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. ish, for conscious coffee tomorrow morning. So I love you guys. Have a beautiful, beautiful day wherever you're at, and look for the bridges. Okay, catch you guys tomorrow.